Your Excellencies, the President of the United States.
The President of the United States.
Let's get this over with.
Ready, close. Ready, cut. Ready, face.
Now I'd like to be able to take some questions, if I may. And I'm told that Dimitri of the Financial Times has the first question.
Mr. President, after today, would you still refer to President Xi as a dictator? This is a term that you used earlier this year.
Well, look, he is. I mean, he's a dictator in the sense that he is a guy who runs a country that is a communist country that is based on a form of government totally different than ours. Who can hold the loudest?
Can you detail for us what kind of evidence that you have seen that Hamas has a command center under Al-Shifa Hospital?
No, I can't tell you. I won't tell you.
Do you feel absolutely confident based on what you know that
Yes.
that is the truth?
Yes.
And Mr. President, after today, would you still refer to President Xi as a dictator? This is a term that you used earlier this year.
Well, look, he is. I mean, he's a dictator in the sense that he is a guy who runs a country that is a communist country that is based on a form of government totally different than ours. Anyway, you may say.
China is not our enemy.
I believe then, and I'm even more convinced now, that a rising China is an incredibly positive development for not only China, but the United States and the rest of the world. It is in our self-interest that China continue to prosper. China is a great nation, and we should hope for the continued expansion. We want to see China rise. A rising China can be a significant asset for the region and the world. China is going to eat our lunch? Come on, man. They're not bad folks. But guess what? They're not competition for us. China's not our problem. We can help them with some of their problems. China's not a problem. The idea that China is going to eat our lunch is bizarre. And so, what are we worried about? We talk about China as our competitor. We should be helping.
Do you think, in retrospect, that you were naive about China?
No. Here they come. Tell me when they're in. Well, Mr. President, it's good to see you again. We've spent many hours together over the last 10 or 12 years, and to host you in the United States is a great honor and a pleasure. Next question, sorry. I want to talk about Governor Newsom. I want to thank him. He's been one hell of a governor, man. Matter of fact, he could be anything you want. He could have the job I'm looking for. Will we act with the speed and urgency necessary to dramatically curb carbon emissions and avert the climate catastrophe that threatens us all? Leaders of government and industry can count on the United States. We're delivering on our promises, and we're doubling down on our progress. You know, I digress just a second. I was with Xi Jinping today, and I showed him a photograph that he's extremely proud of when he was a young man. I think he was 32, maybe 28, 30 years old, in that range. And he was, hey, how you doing, man? He was actually standing on the Golden Gate Bridge. He had come to visit. And he said, and I looked at the picture, I said, I want to show you a picture. He said, I like that picture. I like the, well, he was translated to say, I like that picture. So he's been coming here, and one of the things I pointed out to him is that you have one of the largest Chinese populations in America here. And he feels like he's going home here. You know, it's been my approach here in the United States from the moment my administration took office. We're building an economy from the middle out and the bottom up. Trickle-down economy worked okay sometimes, but not a whole lot trickled down on my dad's kitchen table. Median household wealth has grown by 37% in real terms since before the pandemic. Leading tech companies like Anthropic, and I'm going to mispronounce. I'm not going to even try. It's better not to try and not mispronounce than try and mispronounce. This is not, as my generation would say back in the day, this is not all kumbaya, but it's straightforward. Let me be clear. We are de-risking and diversifying our economic relationship with the PRC, not decoupling. Not decoupling. I acknowledge there's a disconnect between the numbers and how people feel about their place in the world right now. We can deal with the second part as well. Meaningful outcomes to make supply chains more resilient, facilitate clean energy transition, and fight corruption. Is this on? Yes, it is. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I was waiting out there for the tide to subside.
At this time, we please ask the guests to quietly depart.
The United States also ratified the Kigali Amendment, which will drastically reduce the production of super potent HFCs. Nowhere is that more true than when it comes to climate. Every economy around this table faces this challenge, every one of us. And as I've said before, it's the only existential threat to humanity. We either get this right or there's not going to be a whole lot of people around to talk about it. I know President Boulter shares this commitment, and I want you to know next year, when the APEC summit hosts, Peru will help drive these economies forward. We'll be hanging out in Peru. The views are going to be nice too. Here, here. Welcome. Bon appetit.
I want to echo your acknowledgement that we are on the unceded ancestral homeland of the Ramaytush Ohlone, who are the original inhabitants of the San Francisco Peninsula.
And then you have nitrates, excess nitrates that are essence of farming. You go to a place, I learned all this actually when I was running for president back in 2004. And in Iowa, they have tile underneath the fields. I dig down 6 feet, put the tile and put the earth back on it. You wouldn't think of that.
Innovation is about our ability to see what can be, unburdened by what has been. The ability to not only imagine a better future, but to build it.
What can be, unburdened by what has been.
That can be, unburdened by what has been.
What can be, unburdened by what has been.
Seeing what is possible, unburdened by what has been.
What can be, unburdened by what has been.
What can be, unburdened by what has been.
Where we can be, unburdened by where we have been.
What can be, unburdened
by what has been. Unburdened by what has been. What could be unburdened by what had been. What can be unburdened by what has been. What could be unburdened by what had been.